What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. Today we're focusing on the Chicago Blackhawks season preview. Obviously, been doing that. Been doing every team in the league. No particular rhyme, reason, or order. Just kind of however I feel like it on a particular day. Today, again, it's the Blackhawks. Obviously, the team of the last 6-7 years, winning 3 cups in that span, and I think they still have 1 or 2 more runs left in them. I know a lot of people are, their core is aging and all that shit. It's like, Kane and Taves are still 2 years shy of 30. I think Kane has established himself as the best offensive player in the league. Taves is the preeminent two-way center in the league. They've reinforced their depth, and they're looking to infuse some youth into the lineup. We'll start with that youth. Hinostroza and Schmaltz, 2 collegiate players. I think Schmaltz are both expected to play in the NHL next season. Obviously, Hinostroza led Rockford in scoring last year. Schmaltz won an NCAA title at the University of North Dakota last year. I think Schmaltz will be a middle 6 guy. I think he's one of those wild cards, and I've said this a couple times. When they signed him, he could end up on a line with JT and Hossa. He could also start the year in the AHL. Nothing would shock me, but I think his offensive talent make him a pretty good fit with the Blackhawks ultra skilled nucleus. Again, I'm a Nick Schmaltz guy. In fact, his brother was drafted by the St. Louis Blues in the first round. It's kind of funny, kind of talk about a family rivalry. And then Hinostroza, I think, is more of a solid third line option, and I think he'll play some minutes. And a guy I'm really excited for is Hartman. I think Ryan Hartman will be a guy that, again, infuses some youth into their bottom 6. It's getting younger doesn't always necessarily mean you're getting better, but I like having the young legs in the lineup from the Blackhawks, and the fact they were so close on Jimmy Vesey, is a testament to how attractive the destination they are for free agents. Their biggest notable offseason signing was having a sequel for Brian Campbell. A little bit different set of circumstances from the last time he signed with the Chicago Blackhawks. Obviously, signed one of the biggest contracts in team history. Ended up being a pretty good player, but not living up to that contract. Got shipped to Florida, helped that team out, and then returned to Chicago as a free agent in July. I think you look at him and you say to yourself, all right, he's not the player he was 3-4 years ago. But he doesn't have to be. When you get a Duncan Keith and a Brent Seabrook, Nick Dromelson, guys like that, it's like, shit, we don't need, a 2007 version of Brian Campbell, 2008 version of Brian Campbell. We just need him to go out, do his job, and everything else will kind of fall into place. And I think that is the Blackhawks thing. It's kind of a plug-and-play system. And I think, Campbell in his new role, in his new capacity, will definitely help the team win some games. I mean, put it this way, Michael Roosevelt won't be counted upon to play crunch minutes in the playoffs. I think that's good enough for your average Blackhawks fan. So, and we'll see what happens from there. But I think Trevor Van Riemsdyk will take some steps forward on defense. I think the guy that signed Kempny out of the Czech Republic, I think he could be a nice depth option on defense for them. Again, just Michael Roosevelt won't be playing big minutes for them, so that's a big thing. Up front, talked about the young kids, but what more needs to be said? I mean, when you get guys like Jonathan Taves, Pat Kane, Hossa, Panarin, it's a ultra skilled, ultra talented nucleus that has bought into Quenneville's system, and again, it's a plug and play. They've established their guys that the team's built around, and everything else everyone else kind of rotates in and out. And for all the roster turnover they've had over the last few years, the consistency and excellence has remained the same. So I don't expect that to change. In the next year or two. And again, I'm still a firm believer that the Blackhawks should be one of the favorites to win the Cup this year. You can sell me on the team getting older, but if you're going to try to sell me that, you might as well try to sell me a bridge in Brooklyn. Because, I know there's a lot of miles on this team, and teams that consistently go on long playoff runs, break down earlier. I mean, look at the Islanders of the 80s. When it was over for them, it was over. But I think, like I said, their biggest Achilles heel was exposed in that Blues series last year, and that was their lack of depth on defense. Campbell kind of gives you some stability, and I think, maybe even Kempny kind of steps up, plays some minutes for them. They just won't need, guys like Gustafsson and the aforementioned artist known as Michael Roseball playing crunch time minutes for them. And I think, again, that's a very, very, very good thing for them. In net, Corey Crawford was sidelined down the stretch last year. Kind of cost him, being higher in the Vezina voting, but he's a guy that's been there and done that. I mean, I know he's kind of like with quarterbacks, they get the product of the system label, but Crawford makes the stops when he has to. He's definitely an elite goalie. The is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback question can be applied to Corey Crawford, but I think he's definitely a guy that is somebody you can rely upon to win you a lot of hockey games. I don't know what else there needs to be said. I mean, is he Carey Price? No, but he does his job and he does it effectively. Again, it's a plug-and-play system with this Blackhawks team, and Crawford's walking up to one of those guys that they've established to be one of the key pieces. I'm going to say 6 guys the Blackhawks built this team around. 19, 88, 81, 2, 7, and 33. 50, excuse me. Scott Darling's big. We'll talk about him in a second, but I think that those half dozen guys are who this team rides and dies with, and everyone else kind of just again rotates in, and I think you can somewhat slide Dramos into that mix too, make it lucky number 7. But going a step further, Scott Darling 2 years ago was the story of the NHL. The underdog. Getting his life back together and playing some, key games for the Blackhawks and saving them in that Nashville series. Regressed last year, and I think pretty much anyone that watched him play will test that. I think he'll have a solid year this year, and spell Crawford for 20, 25 games. The whole thing with this team is just stay fresh for the playoffs. I know people say, there's no guarantee they'll be in the playoffs. I still think they're a top 3 team in the Central Division. There are 4 teams that could be top 3 teams in the Central Division. The Hawks, St. Louis, Nashville, and Dallas. Any 3 of those teams could be the top 3 teams in that division. So, and I think the Hawks are definitely one of those teams. And, depending upon how injuries and everything else work themselves out, this Hawks team is a threat to win the Cup next year. So we'll see what happens. Duncan Keith's injury, it's not. He's recovering from off-season surgery. It's good he's not playing in the World Cup. I know Canadians are going, oh my God, you suck too, you're saying that. No, if you're a Blackhawks fan, you're counting your lucky stars. He's not playing in the World Cup because that's less minutes, less wear and tear. And, for a guy that's as elite as Keith is and, proven himself to be one of the best defensemen, the last 20 years. And that's not even being hyperbolic to say that. He is one of the best defensemen to play in the National Hockey League over the course of the last 20 years. He's a future Hall of Famer. So we'll see what happens. But again, I think it's good that he's not getting ridden for minutes early in the World Cup. And again, you know what I think of that tournament. It's a fucking farce. Anyway, that's all I got in this episode of the Power Play with CJ. Stay tuned for episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.